The saddest feeling nowadays that all my dreams are much too far away. Sometimes the nights got me aching, working hours in the cold. And I can't imagine how it feels to end up where you feel you had to go. I've been lost, I've been praying nothing else will go wrong. I guess we're all dying, waiting for the world to.
Welcome to WYCD Wicked, that stands for What You Can Do. Hello! I see a lot of familiar faces that I am delighted to see. The Letter Hack, hello. Pinkerbell, hello. Let's do the traditional attempt to make you a mod. Still nothing. Wicked Foxy Dragon, hello. The Letter Hack, hello. Anti-corporatist, good to see you. We're just going to keep on trying to make Pinkerbell a mod. Groove Dragon, hello. Every day I'm buffering. Yes, and by the way, the Golden Fly remix of that song is fantastic. I definitely recommend it. By a gentleman named Alex Kresovich, and he knocked it out of the park. Well, we have got some delicious tea to go over, and let's jump right into it. Here's my question. Would you rather hear about George Santos first or Sarah Huckabee Sanders? It's a rhetorical question because we're going with George Santos first. I very much want to stomp on this guy's what do you call it? Walls. But so does everybody else on the planet Earth. So I feel like we can come together as a people and agree that George Santos is a rotten guy. Let's have a gander. Yep. Here's an update on George Santos. 23 counts, good God almighty. It's 23 counts against the man. What for? Well, he's a Republican fraud. And stealing from his constituents and lying about money and generally speaking, getting things via illegal means. But hey, we don't need my summary. We've got The Hill reporting on this. Yes, indeed. Santos charged with 10, count 'em, 10 new criminal counts in superseding indictment. So bear in mind, I don't know how many, I guess I do. That makes it a total of 23 counts. But 10 new criminal counts in a superseding indictment. Representative George Santos was charged with 10 new criminal counts Tuesday over accusations he inflated his campaign finance reports and charged donors' credit cards without authorization. Hey, real quick. Hey, Republicans. Hey, pal. Real quick. These people steal from you. George Santos is just not very savvy about it. Santos pleaded not guilty in May to a 13-count indictment, and the new charges bring the total to 23. There it is. The charges add new criminal exposure for the embattled lawmaker who began his first term in January after admitting to embellishing parts of his background while campaigning. That's a hell of a way to say he lied about his mother's 2 deaths. Santos is due to appear in court October 27th. Just to recap who this guy is. He lied about being a drag queen, we think. He lied about his mother's various deaths. He lied about his criminal record. He lied about who supported him within the Republican Party. He lied about how much money he had. I just assume that if you turn to the nearest person to you and try to pull off their mask, there's about a 10% chance that it will come off and you'll discover it's been Santos the whole time. The additional indictment comes days after Santos' former campaign treasurer, Nancy Marks, we're going to be hearing that name a lot more, reached a deal with prosecutors and pleaded guilty to conspiring with the then candidate to carry out a scheme prosecutors are dubbing the Party Program, in which the duo committed fraud. Let's get rid of that ugly son of a gun. On which the duo committed fraud on Santos's campaign finance reports. The scheme was meant to ensure that Santos and his campaign qualified for a national party committee program that would provide financial and logistical support to Santos's bid for Congress, prosecutors said. To qualify, the New York Republican had to show his campaign raised at least $250,000 from third-party contributors in a single quarter. After failing to qualify for the program in October of 2021, an agent of the National Party Committee told Santos that the only driver that matters, because these are Republicans, is raising $250,000, according to the indictment. We are going to do this a little different. I got it, Santos allegedly replied. The charging document says to make that representation, Santos and Marks agreed to falsely report to the Federal Election Commission that at least 10 family members made significant contributions to the campaign, despite knowing they had not, according to prosecutors. All right, what does this mean? It means that George Santos told the FEC, Federal Elections Commission, that he was given lots and lots of financial support by the community, including his own family, when in fact he was not trusted enough to be given that much financial support by the community, including his own family. And the community, including his own family, was correct. He cannot be trusted. He lied about how much money he had raised, and as a result, he got into the rich people's club. So you have to have raised at least $250,000 to receive additional help from the Republican Party, the National Republican Party. So he lied. Just like, Trump lies to hang out with rich people. Santos lied. And the problem is it makes it harder for the rest of us to get by. It makes it harder for the rest of us to meet these qualifications when clowns like Santos say they can. That's just sort of secondary, though. The main thing would be the fraud. The fraud. Apparently, conservatives have this notion that if you lie to the government, it's fine. Maybe this is because the government has never before bothered to apply the laws to conservatives. And now they have to because they have no choice, because the conservatives have gone from just regular criminals, just stealing money from people and conning people, to terrorists. So they really don't have a choice, and now the laws must be applied. Really, too much attention is on conservatives, is what it is. because of clowns like Santos. Trump lowered the bar so much that it's now the party of terrorists and what have you, and attention is just being paid to them because we have no choice. So they're now getting the negative the consequences of that, I suppose, which is all these lies that they tell is just part of their way of existing. For them, it's the same as breathing. They're biting them right in their big old rumps. Santos is no different. He's just more of a professional con artist. He's less of a specialist in politics, like Mitch McConnell, say, or Kevin McCarthy. But he is no different from them in terms of character, in terms of the ethics he uses, by which I mean the utter lack of, so on and so forth. What can you do? Just enjoy the popcorn. Use Santos as our sub for Menendez. When inevitably the absolutely most educated conservative you know brings up Bob Menendez, congratulate them on actually knowing one true thing, having learned an actual true thing about politics in the entirety of their life. Just one. Congratulate them on that, because that does mean they will be the conservative that knows the most about politics out of probably anybody else you know. And then point out that we will kick out Bob Menendez from the Democrats as soon as he's found guilty, and add that you hope they will do the same with George Santos as soon as he's found guilty. And then look them straight in the eyes and hold their gaze and say, you will tell your representatives, of course, when Santos is found guilty, that you want him kicked out. You will do that, right? I mean, obviously, you think I should with Menendez, and I'm going to. So I assume you're going to with Santos and Trump. I assume you will. Oh, and Sarah Sanders. Let's talk about that too. After we find out what the wicked community has to say, hold up, let's go to that. The anti-corporatist. Hello, sir. I'll hit like y'all. Yes, please. BCAT and K. Oh, excuse me, BCAT K. I don't know why I always say and K. Maybe because I desperately want Burger King at all times. Every day, I look like I'm talking and thinking about complex political things, but mostly, I'd say about 70% of my brain power is just thinking about the Impossible Whopper. BCAT K. Politicians have been clowns since their inception, but this is truly a ridiculous timeline that people voted for this guy. Yeah, it is shocking to me. Groove Dragon. I have always believed in you, Pinkerbell. And me too. Let's do our traditional attempt at making her a mod. It didn't work. Oh my god. All right, well, take another whack at this. Yeah, we're gonna take another whack at this. And John Bailey. Hello, good to see you. The anti-corporatists have had to fire servers from my restaurant for less. Shaking my head. Yeah, 100%. Wicked Foxy Dragon, you know what happens when you assume, right? I know I'm going to burn your house down. How about that? Oh, you're right. It didn't work. Oh, well. Damn it. I'll put in a ticket for this. It's whatever's going wrong, I assure you, it's me. I'm doing something wrong. I'm sure YouTube's working fine. I'm sure the computer's working fine. It's a two-step process to make somebody a moderator, and I promise you, I have screwed up one or both of those steps. But let's talk about Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the huckster. Yeah, as I very publicly stated one time while looking foolish, she is the former press secretary for Donald Trump, went on to become governor of Arkansas. Man, you would think that she would want to lay low. Trump being a famous criminal and all. But no, she knows what era she's in. It's the era. It's the final days of the Republican Party when the mask is just about off. It's very clear that they're criminals. It's very clear that they abuse a system which allows them to get away with crime. And they've got a prisoner's dilemma. The more blatantly they do crime, the shorter they're going to be away. They're going to be able to get away with it. And so she's taken full advantage. What has she done? Well, it seems to involve a podium. And I'll tell you, we're not all the way through this story. I can't tell you where it's going to go, but this is some old-fashioned Tammany Hall style political corruption. Let's talk about it. I suppose the main difference is that whatever the people enjoyed with their ill-gotten gains in the Tammany Hall days. This is the early days of America. I'm sure it would have been like cigars and a Nickelodeon picture show or something. Well, Sarah Huckabee Sanders got to go to France. Here it is. Let's get rid of this. That'll tell you a little bit about this site. So take all this with a grain of salt, this flood of ads that came in here. But the site is Political Flair. And here is the article, if it loads. Yes, it does. Looks like a scandal involving Sarah Huckabee Sanders fleecing Arkansas taxpayers. I'm sorry for saying it like that. Arkansas taxpayers is about to blow up. If Sarah Huckabee Sanders wasn't already a talented grifter prior to working for Donald Trump, being his spokesperson was like a master class before the daughter of a politician / evangelical pastor got her more than ready to take the reins. Being the daughter of a politician / evangelical pastor got her more than ready to take the reins of the most corrupt president of all time. And in turn, that job polished her skills enough to land her in the governor's mansion in Arkansas. But everyone eventually slips up, no matter how good they are, and it looks like #PodiumGate may be coming back to haunt her. If you don't remember or never heard, I didn't, because I never had. That's okay. Oh, good. This story seems silly on the surface, and it remains silly throughout, but it's still a crime. We see government waste all the time, especially with Republicans. True. So finding out that Sarah had spent nearly $20,000 on a podium to speak from behind, and that it was initially taxpayer money until she got caught, and the Arkansas GOP paid it back for her, wasn't that big a deal. Quick question: why would they do that? Can you guess? Why would they do that? Because a crime for her is a scandal for them. They do this a lot. When your friends and family, and in fact, consider spreading this to your friends and family that donate to Republicans. If they think that they are centrist if they think they are, then they are. But if they are centrist Republicans and they think that just donating to the Republican Party is somehow better than donating to a MAGA candidate specifically. All right, it kind of is, but understand that they are just paying to the crime bailout fund. Make sure you tell your Republican supporting associates, whoever they are, the Republican Party is a criminal organization, and if you give money to them, you are financing crime. Case in point, here the Arkansas GOP paid back the $20,000 that Sarah Huckabee Sanders stole from taxpayers. If you pay money to the Republicans, you are paying to finance crime. Period. End of story, as Sam Cedar would say. But a Republican state legislator thought that was kind of fishy too. So State Senator Jimmy Hickey called on the Legislative Audit of Arkansas, a nonpartisan entity that answers to the legislative branch in the state rather than the executive, to look into a few things. Hickey asked for one or more audits regarding the purchase of a podium or lectern from Beckett Events LLC for the use of the governor's office, and you might remember that name, Beckett Events LLC. We'll come back to it. And all matters involving the governor or the governor's office made confidential by Section 4A of Act 7 of the first extraordinary session of 2023. What exactly, you might be asking, is Section 4A of Act 7 of the first extraordinary session of 2023? I'm glad you hypothetically asked. That's the law she tried to pass to make it illegal to investigate this transaction. A whole law to make it illegal to investigate this transaction. Outside groups are now saying that Sanders paid friends for a podium she never got. Moreover, they claim that the money was used to fly Sanders' friend, Hannah, to Paris when Sanders went. Like a girls' trip. Hooray! That does sound lovely. It's just, the crime that's the problem. Okay, pay attention because this gets a tiny bit complicated. Hannah Stone, one of the organizers of the January 6 riots, is business partners with Virginia Beckett, another person implicated in January 6th. There it is, Beckett, involved in January 6th. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders was hanging out with two traitors. Two traitors. That alone should disqualify her from office. Just being seen having coffee with these miserable bastards. The money for the podium was paid to Beckett, and then Stone ended up on the same European trip as Sanders, who is friends with both of them. This is a case of 2 + 2 = 4. Sanders inflated the invoice with a podium that still hasn't actually been seen by anyone, panicked when she got caught spending voters' money, and tried to make it illegal to even examine what she'd spent money on or who was on her flights. It's an opinion, but I still disagree with the author in this coming paragraph. I would understand if the privacy exemptions to the Freedom of Information Act were about security, but she doesn't want anyone knowing about past activity either. I would not understand if the exemptions from the Freedom of Information Act were about security. Because they're not. That's a false, what they're putting there. I know this is an anti-Sanders article. Not anti enough. They're saying, I understand the rest of this stuff going forward, not being able to investigate future fraud, but she wants to cover up past fraud? No. The Freedom of Information Act exists for a reason. That is the most powerful tool in any journalist's playbook. And guess what? It's in your playbook too. When you want to find information and a public official won't give it to you, you FOIA them. Freedom of Information Act requests them. You can do it. I have done it. It's as easy as saying, this is a FOIA request, please provide me with X documentation. Under no circumstances, I take that back, under very few circumstances should that ever be restricted. This guy summed it up pretty well. It's by Fool M. Once. Sarah Sanders went on an all-expense-paid girls' trip to Paris. Well, friends' trip to Paris. Let's come on now. Didn't want it to show up in the records, so made up an imaginary $19,000 lectern to cover the cost of the trip. Then panicked, called an emergency session of the Republican legislature to cover up the fraud. #PodiumGate. And there, at the bottom there, is Sarah Sanders, the Arkansas governor who failed at a Podiumgate cover-up, and Virginia Beckett and Hannah Stone, two traitors to the United States, who she paid off with your money, taxpayers. That circle of attempted to make your vote worth nothing. They have probably signed legislation that has made your family's lives harder, your friends' lives harder, your life harder. They are responsible for the heating of the planet you're on, and the only one we've got as of this moment in human history. They, on top of all of that, stole $20,000 from you when you can't even take the time off work to go on vacation. They stole $20,000 from you so they could go on a fun vacation to Paris. That's what they think of you. That's why they are in office. That is why they do what they do. It's because they're too cowardly to jimmy a lock and break into your house or hold up a bank. They don't have the backbone for any of that, but they still want to be thieves. So what can you do? If you're in Arkansas, boy, ask your local news if they are going to be covering this. Just constantly ask them, hey, when's the last update you have on Podium Gate? When are you doing your next story on Podium Gate? So on and so forth. Where does the investigation stand on Podium Gate? And on and on. That's all you got to do. Get your local news on it. And the fact that she's messing with FOIA requests, they're going to be motivated to go get her. Even if they are themselves a bit conservative, that's their bread and butter that's getting messed with. They are going to be motivated to get after her. So I would highly recommend to you that you talk to your local news about it. If you are not in Arkansas, I would just bring up Podium Gate as much as you can. I would search it on social media. I would share articles about it. I would make this a story that the general public is aware of. I found it through obscure means, and it should not be so. I do realize that Trump is the actual danger right now. But we need to make it clear for all voters in the United States, and for that matter, all conservatives around the world, exactly what the modern conservative is all about. Stealing from you. They're thieves. That's literally all they are. They're not particularly sophisticated. They are just quite cowardly and quite dedicated to thieving from you. And they have the easiest grift on earth. They just pretend like your neighbor is dangerous. That's the whole grift. They get you squinting at your neighbor, and then they steal from your back pocket. Ask your local news about this if you're in Arkansas. And regardless of where you are, share these stories on social media. Hell, share the VOD from this if you want to be cheeky, but do the easiest version that's possible. Let's see what the wicked community has to say. Boy, I've got "Cut 'Em In" by Rick Ross in my head, and it's a doozy. On with this chat. Oh, that's the problem. All right. Cool. Anti-corporatist. Man, I'm pissed at my dispatchers. I really want to make it home to grab my map book and Starlink and whatnot. Oh, it sucks. I'm sorry. Anti-corporatist. Yeah, we really need to get rid of taxes for those that make under $400K a year. I mean, I'd be okay with that, but truth be told, taxes are not that bad. They're not. I mean, I would agree that we should ensure that the rich pay first. But as far as like, I don't know, the 15% you end up losing to paying for roads or whatever, the 30%, it's almost a secondary conversation to whether or not the rich are paying a significant portion of theirs. I'm not even anti-corporatists in particular. I like when you and I go back and forth because you and I usually end up having longer conversations with a lot of nuance. But like, I'm not even talking about the point you're making about no taxes under 400. I'm just so focused on the taxes over 400K a year. I'm like, sure, no taxes under 400, fine. Is it? But the thing that really, really irks me is when like somebody with 200 million pays nothing. I'm like, all right, that's where we all just got hurt because they had a small town's worth of taxes that they made in a year, and they chose to pay none of it. It cannot be overstressed how much money we're just leaving on the table for billionaires to gobble up. The anti-corporatists. Never mind. That's to Wicked Foxy Dragon. Yeah, but people think of themselves as taxpayers. That's true. B Cat and K. Well, if taxes went to societal needs, it would be a different story. Yeah. I would say this. I would like to see the average person's taxes be, and this is me just, this is not a strategic plan. It's what I would actually do if I had a magic wand. I would like to see the average person's taxes, like anybody who's making, let's just say, under 200,000 a year. So that's a lot of that's probably the majority of Americans. I would like to see them cut down to like 5% of their total income, and then everybody who makes above that have it be like 80% of their income. The anti-corporatists, if they knew that they didn't pay taxes, they wouldn't object to raising taxes. That is a great point. Shit. Now I need to really think about that. I didn't consider if taxes are something that rich people pay. Oh, shit. What's the matter with you? Now I have to rethink a whole big, important idea I had about how government should be run. No, that's a really good point. The political use of that is huge. And just the cultural impact that would have, just essentially making taxes known as something that rich folks pay. Oh, and yeah, let me read more of what you're saying. But you've got the all caps my tax dollars. You could still say that. You could still say these are my tax dollars being spent, even if you pay $0 in taxes, because it's still your labor that provides them. Wicked Foxy Dragon, mic drop. Yeah, that's why I got one of these, to prevent me from ever prematurely dropping the mic, because AC's won this one. He got me. I'm on the side of that's now what I think ought to be. It's just what I think ought to be. Well done. Better quality of life all around, says B Cat and K. Yes, indeed. Oh, let me go up to Mars Falcon. Like you guys are going back and forth. All right, Mars Falcon. Well, in their defense, Jake, they know what type of nut jobs their absurd anyone can have assault rifle laws have armed. Wouldn't want to break into those houses. They're waiting to shoot up folks. Yeah. That is true. But honestly, they would be too terrified of a guard chihuahua. I mean, they're just not they're not a courageous lot. The anti-corporatist, yeah, when politicians said tax-paying citizens, they're going to be mask off on who they actually work for. True. Oh, good Lord. Folks, have I really been going? I've been doing some awful short streams. I'll tell you. Yeah. I don't like that. I miss doing the proper long streams. But I've been having too much fun goofing around. Here's the deal. We have tomorrow, of course, the the oh god, no, tomorrow of course is a normal regular show, but then next week, Wednesday, we've got the premiere of Left Past 10. I can't wait. I cannot wait for it. We're gonna start doing longer and longer streams again. Heads up, I might start these a little bit earlier, so long as we're still on at 9. Simply so that I can get into the groove a little bit with a long warm up, let's say, and goofing off with the audience. Also, I'm animating Wicked Fight Night. I've never done a Pixel Progressives with the fellas from True North Eager Beaver, and funny enough, they are the ones that I think would be best for Pixel Progressives, and so it has been a genuine pleasure to animate them as jacked muscle boys in this particular project. We're gonna keep it up, and I will try to get it done by Halloween, and then I'll fail, and whenever it's out, it's out. But here we go. Look at that. Tell me you don't want to see Doug from the True North Eager Beaver podcast as a jacked wrestler leaping over a Canadian flag. It's too much fun not to do. So that's what we're working on behind the scenes. We're going to keep goofing off. Also, be on the lookout for Anti-Corporatist's new show. It's looking like it's going to be a good one, folks. And, your old pal Jake will be in the audience. So Anti-Corporatist, starting, I believe it's from the left seat. You can correct me in the comments there if that is so. And Groove Dragon saying, remember, getting stoned is a joint effort. I agree. Oh, yeah, and Left Past 10 coming up, and then also Wicked Fight Night, the cartoon. I will see y'all then, and you're right, Groove Dragon. I'll join you in outer space in a few minutes. And in the meantime, thank you for joining me. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake. Trucking from the left seat. There it is. Thank you, AC, and I can't wait to see it.